Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Doing this a little bit differently than usual because it's been a fairly hectic day. But I want to get some thoughts out here just about the Calgary Flames signing captain Mikael Backlund to a 2-year contract extension. He was heading into the final year of his current contract, making $4.5 million in 25-26. His 2-year deal now extends onto this one, so it'll cover the 26-27 and 27-28 seasons with a cap hit of $3.25 million. Backlund is the oldest player in the team. He's 36 now. He's turning 37 in March. He'll be 39 when the contract ends. And, he's still been a tough minute center for a while. The Flames, Craig Conroy regularly mentions how Backlund routinely leads the team in fitness testing. He's reportedly amongst the leaders this year, according to Conroy, although they don't think he's number one this year, but he's been in the mix the last 4 or 5 years for the tippity top. And so if you're the Flames, you get someone who is a character person and an important player, someone who plays the hard minutes so that some of your younger players or some of your players that aren't quite as robust defensively have an easier go of it. And that's why you have a Mikael Backlund. And he's been a really useful mentor for a lot of younger players. He's been a really useful center to sort of teach younger players the two-way ropes. And if you look at some of the guys that have played with Backlund and then, moved along, Mangiapane, Bennett, Kachuk, so on and so forth. Like, there's been a lot of really good young players who have, learned the ropes with Backlund and become very good NHL players. And, part of that is just, Backlund is a good teacher, but also, Backlund, I think, role models a lot of behaviors on and off the ice that you want your captain, or just any teammate for that matter, to role model. So, from the Flames' perspective, they don't have a ton of center depth yet, and so you sign Backlund for a couple more years. You give a bit of a bridge to get to Potter and Rezhny and so on and so forth, some of the younger guys, and you sort of insulate that a bit. From Backlund's perspective, he wants to be here. He spoke at length on Wednesday afternoon at the Saddledome about how important the community is to his family, how it's basically home to him and his wife and their kids. He's from Sweden, and he goes to Sweden in the off season, but he's been in Calgary pretty much nonstop since like 2009 or 2010, and so he's an important part of the community, and I think the community is an important part of him, and so that's why this turns into what it turns into. The interesting thing, we mentioned his age. Backlund's cap percentage, the percentage that his salary cap takes up of the overall salary cap room the Flames have, 4.7% this year, and then when the extension kicks in, 3.1 and 2.9%. So it's not a ton of money relative to what he brings. If heaven forbid his game falls off a cliff, it's not a terrible deal to work around. And based on typically, I'll post some stuff about this later on in a broader discussion of my optimism about the Flames this year. But for defensive players, the defensive metrics tend to fall off much more slowly, if at all, for older forwards than other things do. And so Backlund's, he's in great shape. He is a defense-first player. He's put in defensive situations. He knows how to defend. And, even if his foot speed falls off a bit, I still think he's got the hands and the brains to be a really effective, or at least pretty effective at the very least, two-way player. And that's what the Flames need him to be. And if a player happens to emerge to push him down the rotation a bit, down to the fourth line, I think the Flames would be happy with that, because that means you have 3 centers that are more effective than Mikael Backlund. But for the time being, he's going to be probably your second/third line center, depending on how you want to carve it up in terms of how he's used. And this has been, kind of an interesting summer for the Flames, because, we've seen, a couple years ago we had the year of departures with, all kinds of players deciding that they, for better or for worse, for various reasons, there was a perfect storm of situations that all came to head at the same time, and a bunch of guys left because their contracts were expiring. The Flames had the option to throw good money after bad, potentially, to keep a lot of them. And, they made the decisions they made too, to not necessarily pursue things beyond a certain point. And this summer has almost been the opposite. We've seen all kinds of players decide, yeah, I'll be here for a while. Kevin Ball, we saw during, around the draft time and free agency. We saw Matt Coronado, Connor Zary signed for 3 years, Morgan Frost for a couple of years, Martin Pospisil, Adam Klapka, very prominently, last week we saw Dustin Wolf and now Backlund. And so, Backlund, I don't think Backlund's a big surprise necessarily because he's always been a Calgary guy, but for someone to spend as much time in this city as he has, and who's been such a big part of making the Flames what they are now, and what they hope they can be, it's probably kind of validating for Backlund to see so many guys choose Calgary the way he did. So, it's going to be kind of an interesting year. The weird thing is, if you look forward to what's left on Craig Conroy's docket, I mean, obviously the elephant in the room is figuring out Rasmus Anderson's future and his wherever he lands at some point. My understanding, my expectation is he's going to be traded. But the Flames have a price they want to get, and they're not going to trade him just to trade him. And so we wait. But beyond that, if you look beyond the Anderson thing, I mean, what does Craig Conroy have to do in the 2026 offseason? Because, it was like, oh no, what are they going to do with Dustin Wolf? Well, they've signed Dustin Wolf. Oh no, is Backlund going to stay, or is he going to go somewhere else? Well, they re-up with Backlund, and they have a bunch of other guys that they have re-up too. So I mean, the things left over for Craig Conroy this coming offseason, might just be, do you keep Ryan Lomberg for another year or two? And what do you do with your backup goalie? Because both Ivan Prosvetov and Devin Cooley are on expiring deals at the end of the 25-26 season. So if you're the Flames, I mean, I think you have a lot of young guys you like, and you have some contract expiring to open up spots for young guys. And so potentially we could see, even more of a youth movement in 26-27, but it's going to be a youth movement that is really shaped and really guided by someone like Mikael Backlund on the ice, who's been such an important player and has been a really good mentor for some of these younger guys. So, not surprising news, but definitely welcome news, I think, for a lot of people who cover and follow the Flames. I wrote an entire chapter in my book about Backlund's development and how, he didn't become Backlund right away. He had to be patient. The organization had to be patient. And eventually it turned and he became the player he is now, the guy who gets Selke Trophy consideration pretty much every year for the last decade. And that doesn't happen overnight. And I think if you're having him guiding some of these younger guys, I think having him deliver that message will resonate because of what he's gone through to get to where he is and what he's become. So, welcome news, not surprising news, but it's a nice way to kick off training camp. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you really like this video, please click the subscribe button. And, we'll see you guys next time on the channel. And if you have any ideas, throw them down in the comments. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.